Hi, I'm Auntie Dawn. Welcome to my kitchen. Today, I'm microwave tempering chocolate. Tempering chocolate is less like cooking and more like magic. We're making invisible crystals line up just how we want in the chocolate matrix. And to start, we need to have the right container to put the finished chocolate in. I'm using a silicone candy tray, and I need to clean it very carefully. The dishwasher detergent leaves a coating that makes a fine crystal matrix that you can barely see on the surface of the silicone that will ruin the careful crystallization that I'm achieving through the tempering process. So I'm going to start by washing my silicone candy tray with some vinegar. The vinegar will dissolve the crystals. And now I'm going to wash it with some unscented soap just to make sure that I've gotten all of that scent of vinegar off of it. I'm rubbing each cell with my thumbs just to make sure that I'm getting any remnant crystal formations off. Okay, now I'm going to rinse carefully, very thoroughly. Now, I need this to be as dry as possible, so I am going to whack it on this dish mat. And as you can see, it's nearly dry. I'm going to set this aside while I prepare my chocolate, and by the time I'm ready to pour out, it'll be completely dry. My next step is to measure out exactly 114 grams of chocolate. So I'm going to turn on my scale, put on a small microwavable bowl, hit tare, or as it's called on this case, 0, and pour in my chocolate chips. These are semi-sweet chocolate chips. Okay, once I've reached, it's already gone to 114. So when it gets to 113, I'm going to start adding the chips one by one. And as soon as it reaches 114, I stop. I've learned the hard way that even one more chip will compromise the whole process. My next step is to grate up already tempered chocolate. So this is a box of 3 2-ounce bars of chocolate. I'm going to take one of these bars, open it up carefully, and then fold the wrapper over the end. I want to protect the chocolate as much as I can from the warmth of my fingers and hand while I grate it. This is a stamped style box grater. I've got a microplane one, but it just doesn't work as well. So I'm going to rest it on a plate. Because my counter is slippery, I've got a cork mat here to keep it from sliding all over the place. And I'm going to just grate it against the coarse side of the box grater. Now, if any bigger chunks come off, I'm going to put those aside. Those are going to go in my microwave heated chocolate first. You see, I'm switching sides because as I grate, it gets an uneven diagonal in it. And I want to be very careful because it's really easy to hurt myself so easily on a box grater. All right, as I'm getting near the last course of the chocolate, I'm going to take the wrapper off. Okay, now I've got this much left. I'm not going to try to use the grater anymore. It is too great a danger to my fingers. What I'm going to do at this point is take all of the chocolate off of the grater. I want to get every last bit of it. So, there is a lot of grated chocolate hiding up inside the grater. So by tapping and working it over, brushing it down with a pastry brush, I can get all of it onto the plate. Okay, now that that is done, I'm going to sweep the chocolate away from this edge of the plate to leave myself a clear working surface. And now I'm going to use a steak knife to just cut up the last bit of the chocolate into as small pieces as I can. This is going to go with any of the large pieces that spalled off during the grating process into the melted chocolate first. Okay, now you can see here is the rough chocolate and here is the finely grated chocolate. I'm keeping them separated for now. Now it's time to microwave those chocolate chips. So what I want to do is make a little well in the chips so that they're mostly around the outside, and then give it 1 minute. After 1 minute, the chocolate has started to melt. So I'm going to take a spoon and stir it in. I need to get the chips mixed up with the already melted chocolate, because if I don't, the chips that haven't quite melted yet could burn. All right, so now that the chips are all enmeshed with already melted chocolate, scrape off any clinging chips. And now I'm going to microwave this at 30-second intervals until it's between 124 and 126 degrees. All right, it's gotten another 30 seconds and you can see it's really starting to melt. But there is still solid chocolate in it, and it's going to take more heat to get it all melted all the way. So this is probably going to take another 15 seconds. All right, another 15 seconds of microwaving. That's a total of 1 minute and 45 seconds with 3 rounds of stirring, and it is melted all the way. So let's check the temperature. Yes, the peak that I've gotten is 126 degrees. So now I'm going to add first my rough chopped chocolate. Adding it first gives it the most chance to melt smoothly into the hot microwaved chocolate. Once I get that stirred in, I can start adding these light shreds of grated chocolate. And this is the process where the crystallization happens. Okay, now that all of the chocolate is in here, I'm going to carefully stir it all in. Now, the exact amount of microwave heat that this process takes depends a lot on how cold your kitchen is. Northern California is a little cold right now, so you can see this is still got some solid bits in it, so I'm going to return it to the microwave just for a few seconds on defrost mode. All right, that was 15 seconds on defrost mode, which just means that the microwave is cycling on and off while it still rotates it. And you can see it has all become nice and liquid now. Now, if you're going to add any flavorings or anything else, this is the time to do it. Okay, now I'm going to use a small spatula to clean all of the chocolate off of the spoon. Set that aside. And now I'm going to scrape down the sides and mix, mix, mix. Make sure every bit of this chocolate is thoroughly stirred up. You see, I'm using coasters through this whole process. I have a stone countertop, which would just suck the heat right out of this. It is really important to insulate this process from the cold. Therefore, coasters. Okay, see, now it is nice and smooth. So I have my silicone tray, and I've got it labeled with a 1 in one corner. That reminds me where to start, because the chocolate that goes in first is going to temper best. And so those are the ones that I'm going to put down at the bottom of the jar, so I eat them last. So I'm just trying to fill each cell up right to the top. Chocolate is such a magical substance. When you see a raw chocolate bean pod, just as it comes from the tree, you would never guess that this wonderful substance is somehow hidden inside of there. I got to visit a chocolate farm once on Hawaii, and the process that folks go to create chocolate from those beans it's so much work. If you have the option, I really strongly suggest buying fair trade chocolate where at all possible. Oh, you can see I've overfilled these two a little bit, so I'm just going to go back in, scoop a little bit out. So throughout this whole process, I want to move as quickly as possible because the hotter the chocolate is when it hits the mold, the better job it's going to do of setting up correctly and staying good, hard-tempered chocolate and not blooming for as long as possible. You've probably seen bloom before. Sometimes you buy a chocolate and it turns out to have this white stuff all over it. That's what they call bloom, and that is when the cocoa butter comes out of solution. Now I'm going to agitate it a little bit, just going back and forth, and that smooths the tops out. Okay, so it's been about an hour and my chocolates are now hard and ready to remove. So I've got my jar here, and I'm going to start with the first ones that I made, put them in the bottom of the jar because those are the ones that are going to retain their temper longest. And I can hear them clink as they hit the jar. And you can see there's a bit of a shine on them. They're still a little tiny bit soft. But these should stay good for many days. And here's my finished jar of chocolate. I hope you enjoy these chocolates just as much as I do. See you next time.